Section 14 of Selected Letters of Beethoven. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Stephen H. Wilson. Selected Letters, number 287, by Ludwig van Beethoven, as compiled and with footnotes by Dr. Ludwig Knoll, and translated by Lady Grace Wallace. Letter number 287. To the Royal and Imperial High Court of Appeal, January 7th, 1820. Gentlemen, on the plea of the Decree A, I sought to have transferred to myself the guardianship of my nephew, Carl V. Beethoven, but was referred by the magistracy to the previous decision. On my consequent remonstrance, the same result ensued. I find myself the more aggrieved by this, inasmuch as not only are my own rights set at naught, but even the welfare of my nephew is thus utterly disregarded. I am therefore compelled to have recourse to the highest court of appeal to lay before them my well-founded claim, and rightfully to demand that the guardianship of my nephew should be restored to me. My reasons are the following. First, I am entitled to the guardianship of my nephew, not only by his father's will, but by the law, and this the Court of Justice confirmed to the exclusion of the mother. When business called me away from Vienna, I conceded that Herr Nussbach should act for me ad interim. Having now, however, taken up my residence here, the welfare of my nephew demands that I should again undertake the office of his guardian. Second, my nephew has arrived at an age when he requires to be trained to a higher degree of cultivation. Neither his mother nor his present guardian are calculated to guide the boy in the pursuit of his studies. The former, in the first place, because she is a woman, and as to her conduct, it has been legally proved that, to say the least of it, she has no creditable testimonials to bring forward. Footnote 1. On which account she was expressly prohibited from acting by the Court of Justice. How the honorable magistracy could nevertheless appoint her is quite incomprehensible. The latter is unfit, because on the one hand his office as sequestrator and administrator of houses and lands occupies his time too much to enable him properly to undertake the duties of guardian to the boy, and on the other, because his previous occupation as a paper manufacturer does not inspire me with any confidence that he possesses the intelligence or judgment indispensable to conduct a scientific education. Third, the welfare of my nephew is dearer to my heart than it can be to anyone else. I am myself childless, and have no relations except this boy, who is full of talent, and I have good grounds to hope the best for him if properly trained. Now I am compelled to hear that he has been delayed a whole year by remaining in his previous class, from want of means to defray the expense, and that his mother intends to remove him from his present school and wishes him to live with her. What a misfortune to the boy were he to become a victim to the mismanagement of his mother, who would fain squander on herself that portion of her pension which she is obliged to devote to the education of her son. I have therefore declared in due form to the honorable magistracy that I am myself willing to undertake the expenses of his present school, and also to provide the various masters required. Being rather deaf, which is an impediment to conversation, I have requested the aid of a colleague, and suggested for this purpose Herr Peters, Counselor of Prince Lobkowitz, in order that a person may forthwith be appointed to superintend the education and progress of my nephew, that his moral character may one day command esteem, and whose acquirements may be a sure guarantee to all those who feel an interest in the youth's welfare, that he will undoubtedly receive the education and culture necessary to develop his abilities. My efforts and wishes have no other aim than to give the boy the best possible education, his abilities justifying the brightest hopes, and to fulfill the trust placed in my brotherly love by his father. The shoot is still flexible, but if longer neglected it will become crooked and outgrow the gardener's training hand, and upright bearing, intellect, and character be destroyed forever. I know no duty more sacred than the education and training of a child. The chief duties of a guardian consist in knowing how to appreciate what is good, and in adopting a right course. Then alone has proper attention been devoted to the welfare of his ward, whereas in opposing what is good he neglects his duty. Indeed, keeping in view what is most for the benefit of the boy, I do not object to the mother in so far sharing in the duties of a guardian that she may visit her son and see him, and be apprised of all the measures adopted for his education, but to entrust her with the sole guardianship of the boy without a strict guardian by her side would cause the irrevocable ruin of her son. On these cogent grounds I reiterate my well-founded solicitation and feel the more confident of a favorable answer, as the welfare of my nephew alone guides my steps in this affair. Footnote 2. Ludwig von Beethoven. Footnote 1. Schindler states that during these law proceedings the widow of Beethoven's brother had another child. Footnote 2. The court excluded Karl's mother from all share in his education and from all direct influence over her son, and again restored to Beethoven the full authority of a guardian. End letter number 287. End of section 14 of Selected Letters of Beethoven, as compiled and with footnotes by Dr. Ludwig Noll and translated by Lady Grace Wallace. Recording by Stephen H. Wilson, Elkridge, Maryland. Prometheus.libsyn.com. Prometheus Radio Theater. www.prometheusradiotheater.com.